If your most capable manager walked out the door tomorrow, could you replace them from within your club? Not in 6 months, not after a recruitment campaign, but right now. If the answer is no, or even maybe, then this episode is for you. Hi, I'm Michelle Pascoe, and welcome to this week's episode of the Michelle Pascoe Hospitality Podcast. This show is built for the hospitality industry. Today is a solo episode, and I want to talk about something that keeps CEOs and general managers up at night, whether they admit it or not. It's that leadership pipeline. But before we get into it, I'm going to take a brief moment to mention the Middle Management Movement programs, our flagship development leadership program designed specifically for registered clubs. If you've been wondering how to take your middle managers from promoted but unprepared to generally confident leaders, this is the program. You can find all the details at michellepascoe.com. And stay with me today because this episode is going to give you a strong foundation for understanding exactly why this work matters so much. Here's the reality I see in many clubs across Australia. A great operator gets promoted. They know the department inside out. They've got the technical skills, the relationships, and they're loyal. So they get the title. And then, with virtually no leadership development, they are expected to manage a team, navigate conflict, hold standards, and deliver on performance. And most of the time, nobody told them what leading well actually looks like in your club. The result is managers who are doing their best but are completely overwhelmed. And when they get overwhelmed, then burnout happens. Turnover creeps up, culture drifts, member complaints increase, and CEOs themselves back in the weeds, handling things that should have been resolved 2 levels down. So today I'm going to take you through what I've learned, not just from 30 years in the industry, but from the extraordinary conversations I've had on this podcast over the past few weeks with guests who are some of the sharpest leadership minds I have come across. My first guest was Christin Marvin. People, process, and profit. Oh, I just love this conversation. Christin Marvin is a restaurant and hospitality leadership coach and the author of Multi-Unit Mastery. When we spoke, she brought a framework to the conversation that I have not stopped thinking about. People, process, profit, in that order. Kristin's point was simple and devastating if you're ignoring it. You cannot build a sustainable club on great processes if the people operating those processes are underdeveloped. And you cannot sustain profit if you're constantly hemorrhaging staff and replacing managers who were never properly prepared for the role. In registered clubs, we have a habit of promoting loyalty. We reward the person who showed up every day, who never caused problems, who knew everyone by name. And that person absolutely deserves that recognition. But loyalty and leadership capability, they're not the same thing. When we promote without a development plan, we are setting that person up to struggle and we are setting the club up for consequences. Then my next guest was Hanna Bauer, the middle manager as connector. Hanna Bauer is the founder of Heartnomics, and her work sits in the intersection of love, excellence, and high performance. Now, before you tune out of the word love, stay with me because what Hanna is describing is something clubs desperately need. She described middle managers as the Zapier of the organization. For those of you not familiar, you know, Zapier is a technology tool that connects different platforms so they can actually talk to each other. That's what a great middle manager does. They connect the strategic intent of the CEO with the daily reality of the frontline team. Hanna also asked a very important question. How do you know that they know? How do you know your managers actually understand the standards you've set? Not just because they've nodded in a meeting, but because they can demonstrate it, coach it, and hold others to it. Most clubs assume understanding. They hold a briefing, distribute a policy, run a one-day training, and then they are surprised when the behavior on the floor doesn't match the brief. Building a relationship pipeline means building genuine understanding, not just compliance. Then my other guest was Rich Ellis, energy at a as a leadership asset. Rich Ellis is an energy performance coach, and this conversation came exactly at the right time because here's what nobody talks about when we talk about leadership pipelines. A burned out manager cannot build a great team, full stop. And you know that. You've either been there yourself or perhaps you can see that already happening in your team. Rich's work is grounded in something very practical. Energy is your greatest leadership asset, and most of us are managing it terribly. He talked about simple evidence based habits, getting outside for 10 minutes of morning light, doing micro breaks throughout the day, getting your phone out of your bedroom. And what struck me was the early warning signs of burnout that Rich described. Not the dramatic crash, but the quiet signals, the extra coffee at 10 a.m., the withdrawal from team conversations, the dropped shoulders by Thursday afternoon. If you want a leadership team, you need your managers to be resourced, not running on empty and calling it commitment. Part of development of your leaders is developing their capacity to sustain performance over time. So, what were my key insights? So, what ties all of these three conversations together? A leadership pipeline isn't a spreadsheet or a succession chart on the wall. It's a living, breathing investment in your people. The skills, the confidence, the capacity, and the connection to your club's purpose. Christin reminds us to put people first. Hanna reminds us that connection and standards can coexist. And Rich reminds us that the sustainable leadership starts with sustainable energy. And I'm telling you, from 3 decades in this industry, the clubs that will thrive in the next 5 years are the ones building their leaders now, not when the crisis hits. It's all about now. If this episode has resonated with you, I would love for you to subscribe so you never miss a conversation. It's a weekly podcast, and I think we're going into our 9th year now. We are on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and whatever you listen and wherever you listen. And if you're ready to build a genuine leadership pipeline in your club, visit michellepascoe.com. You will find information about the Middle Management Movement programs, as well as our Executive Leaders Movement program. Our frontline workshops and mystery shopping programs, all designed to lift performance, reduce turnover, and give you confidence in your team. Until next time, keep igniting the potential in your team. Bye.